Hello, hello, it's Nienke here from Nienks.com, and I thought I will just show you a couple of cards I did recently, and then we can make one together, and also this watercolor technique that I used to color my stamped images that doesn't come with, you know, an image to fill in, where it's just white inside. You can use your stamp and blend markers, the Stampin' Blends, that's the alcohol-based markers, or I just used my ink pads with a water brush, and I will show you how to do that. So here is a card I made. I made this design for my children for their school, teacher appreciation cards, and then I just used these adhesive-backed sequins to give that some extra bling. So there's a design. This is just DSP. It's, I think, 3 by 2 inches. So we will make a similar one to this, just in the portrait style or the landscape style. Here's another one I made. I made some birthday greetings using the Taylor tags dies, I think, and then just the thinking of you, also with the different colored sequences. Are just 2 by 2 pieces of DSP, and I also use that watercolor technique that I will show you. It's very similar design, just switching things up a little bit. And here is the one that we will be making together right now. And then I already had my pieces. I just used some scrap pieces of cardstock, stamped them out, and then fussy cut. As this was a Sale-a-bration item, it didn't come with any dies. The stamp set looks like this. So you only have these 2 leaves that you can fill in. Can you fill in this one? It actually doesn't even look like it. But then I just colored them with a watercolor technique. Okay, so we can jump into this real quickly. I have a piece of basic white, and I'm just going to stamp the bird in. I'm using Memento. If you use your Stampin' Blends, Memento is good. If you want to do the watercolor, I would actually recommend using StazOn if you don't want it to bleed. But you know what, let me show you first what I did with the flower. That will give you a better idea of what I'm talking about. Okay, so this is Petal Pink, and I'm going to stamp the flowers in Calypso Coral. So it's a little bit darker. It's still a pinkish, still got that pinkish tone. So while we do this watercoloring, it's going to lighten up and blend in very well together. Oops, there we go. I should have used my pierce mat or my silicone mat, which I actually do have off to the side. Okay, so give this just a little bit of time to dry, and then grab your Calypso Coral. If you press into the center of your ink pad, you will find that you will get a little spot of ink. Depending on how hard you press, it will be bigger or smaller. There's a nice big one. And what you can also do is just use your re-inkers and put a drop of ink right there into the lid of your ink pad. You can also just use a block. Use a block, put some re-inker drop of ink in there, and that will work too. Okay, so because this is the same ink, it's a water-based ink, it's going to reactivate and it's going to bleed. You can see this in there. You can see that the lines of the image is actually bled. That is the look I'm going for. So if you do not like the bleeding, you will have to stamp it in the StazOn black, which will be black ink. I think there's a couple like brown. It's very limited as far as I know colors, so you won't get that in these colors. So I just used the same one. I dropped a little bit of water right there, and then I'm using like a lot of ink to make a darker color. So what I like to do is take the start from the inside and then just watercolor. It's like painting or coloring. You just use the tip of your brush, and if you want it darker, you use more ink. If you want it lighter, you just dip it in the water. So I start at the petals that look like they're behind the other ones, and then just color them in. Same with this one. And then I do not mind going over the lines right now, because this is a look. As I said, this is a look I'm going for. The more use very little water. The more water you use, the more your cardstock will warp, because this isn't technically watercolor cardstock either. You want the least amount of water and the least amount of ink to give you the look you're going for. And the more you go over and over your lines, the more they will bleed, the more they will dissolve and, you know, flow into your image. So if you take a lot of ink and you start at the beginning, it's going to be way darker. The more you move out, the lighter it's going to get. Okay, so that is basically what's happening. And I try to do the least amount of brush strokes over my actual outline and the actual stamped image to get it to bleed as little as possible, to dissolve as little as possible into my image. But what I do love is this effect it gives you. It's a watercolor effect, and that's what I like. That's what I want to go for. So this is like a very front one. You want that to be very light, I feel. So just a couple of strokes, and if you want it darker at some point, you just add in a little bit of color. Try to miss your lines if you don't want them to bleed too much. Same with this one right there, and then I'm just going to add a little bit more color right here in the center so that that's darker. It gives you dimension. This one I hardly added any ink. I just dipped it in the water right there. Don't want a lot of water, just a little bit. Add some more ink. And the same with this one. I feel like this one is more in the front, so we're just going to make that a lighter petal. This one we're just going to do lighter as well, and then you can always come back and add some color if you want. Same with this one. Start dark at the base and then just add in, fill in however you want. And as you can see, it's really quick. It's like you were coloring with your blends. Now the more you're going to add, the more color you add, the more water you add, again, the more the paper is going to warp, the more your lines is going to bleed. And if you don't like that, as I said, use Stays On ink. You can use your blends markers because it's alcohol based. It will not let them bleed, but that's not the look I'm going for. So there you go. Now I'm just going to give this a little bit time to dry. You can see that, and we'll use one for a card that I did previously. I'm still going to use this ink. You can wipe this, you can leave it. It will reactivate if you add more water, so that is fine. Now you want to clean your brush. I just use my chamois, push through the tip till you get a drop of water and just wipe it off your chamois. And if you're not sure that it's clean, you can just wipe it on a white piece and you can see there's no color coming off. So I use the same water brush over and over again. Okay, now let me show you the bird. The bird, I'm going to use my black Memento ink. Again, it's black, it's going to bleed. What I find, if you just leave it a little bit, it bleeds less. You know, leave it to dry for like overnight or a couple of hours, it bleeds less. If that bugs you, use Stays On. But I use very little water and mine hardly bleeds, like you can see. And also, again, this is not watercolor paper. If you want it not to warp or you're not used to it and you're using too much water, just use the watercolor paper. We do have this. It's just normal, basic. It's not even the thin one. Not even the thick one. It's a thin one. It warps a little bit. You can just lightly run your fingers over it and it's fine. I like the fact that it warps it a little bit. It gives it some more dimension on your card, which, whoopsie daisy, which I love on my cards. Just clean off my stamp before it falls on my mat again. This one I used Nano. Okay, we're going to do the same thing. I'm going to start with Pool Party because I'm coloring the bird in Pool Party. Now you'll notice this one has not been left. It's very wet still. The leaves are black. I'm not going to worry about that. Here I have some ink. You can see it's already dry. If you just add a drop of water, it will just reactivate. As quick as that. And you can use this. Now I don't want my bird to be very colorful. I just want it to have a hint of color. So pick up your color. Start from where you want it to be the darkest and move over the spot where you want it to be lighter. Again, do not rub over the black or it's going to bleed too much. Now I want a little bit more darker, so I can pick it up from the ink pad itself too, and then you will get a darker color. And the further up you go, the less color you will have, so it will give you that beautiful gradient fading out effect. I want these bottom feathers to be darker, and then as I move up, I want the color to fade out to be lighter. Again, do not pick up too much water. Do not go over your black lines too much, or they will bleed. But look at that. You have that hint of blue color, and it's just easy to do now. I just want some bit more color down here. So I'm picking it up straight from the ink pad to make the color darker. Just like that, and then a little bit more over here. You can always add color, you can't take color away. So start slow and with a lot of, not a wet brush, but a diluted color. Okay, so that is Pool Party. I'm going to clean this again. Should be fine. And I'm going to use cinnamon cider. You can use any color you have, and I'm just going to do a nice dark color for the branch. I like using the smallest water brush tip. I feel like it gives me more control. If I press down harder, it gives me a thicker line. If I just lightly touch the paper, it gives a very thin line. So it's a lot like painting. I can control the thickness of the stroke. If you're not used to it, you can just give it a try. You figure out the brush and the tip and how much pressure and how much ink very quickly. Going to do the little flowers in Calypso Coral again. Pick up some water, pick up some ink, start at the backmost petals that you want to give the most color to, and then move to the lighter ones as your brush runs out of ink. I don't mind staying in the lines, I don't mind going out the lines. My look is this watercolor effect. Now this one is very light. I've already done it. I don't want to go over my black again now. Picked up some ink and just dot where I want it to be darker, and that color is just going to run into the others, which will be fine. Start with this one, that one. Don't want to add too much water to that, and that's it. With all the coloring or painting, whichever you want to call that, all done. Clean off my brush for next time, and now I will just let that dry, and then we can fussy cut it. As I said, we'll use the ones I've already done. This was just the stamp from the set. It's this one, Granny Apple Green on Granny Apple Green. I will fussy cut one for you to just show you how quickly it actually goes. Start at the easiest part, the stem part, whichever side you want. Move your cardstock, not your scissors. just around the leaves, leave a little bit of a border. I like fussy cutting. The more you do it, the better you get at it, and it gets faster the more you do it. So that's what I did just with all of my pieces. Here you go. And then this is shaded spruce. I tried the shaded spruce and shaded spruce, but it didn't give me the pop of color I wanted. So I actually used evening evergreen on shaded spruce for this one, and then also just quickly fussy cut. Okay, let's put our card together, and I'll also show you a mini chocolate bar wrapping with the same elements. So here's my card base. It's a pool party standard card base, 8 by 5.5 scored at 4 1/4 on the 8.5 inch side, and then I just used pool party color and ink and just did some background stamping using the 2 images from the stamp set. It was these little dots and that flower just at the corners, and then I added some pieces of DSP 2 inches by 3 inches, and then just alternated their placing, and that was sort of my background where I started with. And now I'm going to use a different sentiment on here. This was a die cut from the Hippo and Friends dies. I don't think they're available anymore or around anymore, but I love them. I'll probably never stop using those. So if you don't have that, it's, what is it? It's about a 2 by 2, a little bit less than a 2 by 2 inch side. So any die cut that's about 2 by 2 will work. I'm using the sentiment from the kit, You Have My Love and Support. Now I'm going to stamp that just the center, low of center, right there. Ink it up nicely. If you want to have a crisp, dark image, just give your ink time to soak into the paper. So just hold it for a couple of seconds to let the ink absorb, and you'll get a nice, clear, dark image without trying to re-ink or redo all of it. Restamp, that's what I want to say. Trying to get out there. Clean this one off. And I'm going to start with my sentiment at the bottom, and then I'm just going to decorate, sort of decorate around it, so that looks like a good placement and it leaves enough space for all of my other elements. So let's get that down. So yes, I've really enjoyed working with this paper pack and celebration item. And there's a new celebration coming shortly. It's already available for demonstrators, I think July, August, with very cute things in there, beautiful paper. Okay, and then I'm going to use my watercolored flowers, and they'll go about there, and I can put my birdie around about there, I think. Now I'm just going to put, I'm not going to put anything underneath these. I'm not putting glue all the way to the edges because I want it to stand. You can see that because of the watercoloring, it's a bit warped, which is the effect I like. So I don't want to put glue straight to the edges because then it will give you these sides sticking up. To put some dimensionals here, but I don't want to put too much because I want to tuck some of these foliage underneath. So let's just put one there and one there, one here, and then I'm going to put a little piece right on its tail, and I'm just going to try my best to remember to not press that down before I am done with adding everything behind. Okay, so I'm lightly, very lightly going to put the bird roughly where I want it without pressing down on my dimensionals, because that will leave me. I'm going to put a little one right here so that it will raise the front. Add some glue on the end. I'm going to tuck this underneath there, about where I want it, and then also not pressing anything down, so I can still change my mind if I want to. Let's put this one poking out here like so. That looks good. Could have put that on with a dimensional too. And we can add, I think, one here, and then maybe another one here. Yep, that looks good. So let's just get them sticky. Adding glue on the stem side and a dimensional at the this one right there. Underneath there. Yes, I do like all of that, and then we can add one more of these. Think about here, maybe. Yeah. Okay, so if I'm happy with all the placements of everything, then I can go ahead and stick that down, and then everything is held tightly. Let me just quickly think, do we want another one there? No, I think we're good. It's good. And then, is everything good? Yeah, there goes the tail. Okay. Make sure everything is on there, and then we need a bow. I thought that this black and white gingham ribbon went very well with the black and white image of the bird, so I'm using that. Let's make a little bit bigger bow. This side in there, pull, finesse a little bit. There we go. Trim off this end, add glue dot, just roll it. I feel like these glue dots got bigger. Don't know if anyone else has that same feeling. So I just roll mine up a little bit, and then let's add the bow right there. Here we go, and some bling. So on my example one, I used the orange, so let's get, well, the calypso coral, I think it is. So let's use the pool party on this one. You can use a bigger one here and a smaller one over here, and then another small one over there. There we go. So that is the card. And then let me show you the treat cover. Okay, so very quickly, if you have all of your elements done already, you will need a piece of DSP. I think it is 3.5 by 5.5. Yes, 3.5 by 5.5. This is a little mini chocolate bar I just got from Aldi. It's about 4.25 by almost 2. And use your DSP. Pick the side you want. Center that on here. I'm going to use some tear and tape right there at the top. Fold your bottom. nice and tight. Remove the backing. Fold this over, make sure that it's lining up. Your DSP is lining up nicely, and press down. And there you have that wrapped, and it will slide off. It's a good fit, but it will slide off if they don't want to tear your lovely decoration. That's it. And I'm going to do the same type of layout. I have a little thank you somewhere, so just add your flowers on there quickly. And then I have this very small little thank you. It actually comes from Special Someone. It's also a oldie but goodie. And then this little banner punch, tiny, I don't know what it was. Okay, that was a little punch I used. You can just cut a little strip. It's not even one. It's about 3/8 by what, 2 1/8. And I'm just going to stamp the thank you, because if you don't want to put a sentiment on, you don't need to. And then I'm just going to bring this close to me so that I can see what I'm doing. What do I have on here? So just a little bit of fluff close to me. Whoops. What I like about this thank you is it's not in a straight line. It's little handwriting. Anyway, love it. Put the thank you over there. Add it to the front. Oops. Add it right here. And then again, we're going to pop up our little bird like so, using just a couple of dimensionals, because again we want to tuck stuff in the back. And his little, give his tail some support there. Okay. Again, we're just going to very lightly just lay that about where we want it. And then, whoops, I ran out of these. Do I have more? Oh, wait, I have more. That's already cut out. There we go. Do the same as I did for the card. We're going to, let's add this one. Do we want it like that? Or like that? Yep, let's do this way. That way? Ooh. That way. And another one. Do we need another one? Yeah, we need another one. Like, oh, it's getting stuck on the flower. Go on. There we go. Like so. Just give that a light. I don't think we're going to put anything under his tail for now. Let's add some of these. One up here. Like so. And one down here. There we go. And then that is almost it. I think, can we do like tiny little, let's do a knot. Bow is going to be too big, so let's see if we just do tiny knot. Like this. Yes, I like it. Roll up our glue dot. Add this sort of right in there, like that. And we can add one of these. Want one of these? Put one up here. Put one right there, right there, right there. 1, 2. Yeah, you can put more if you want. I'm going to put that on there. So there you go. That is some fun cards I've been making a lot of, just doing these watercolored images and then putting all different kinds of elements together with it. So we have our wrapper, candy wrapper, and then our card, matching card, and whether you need a love and support or a thinking of you or a happy birthday, you can just put your sentiments. Where do I put all of these? Like so. And then also whichever sentiment you need on there. This is also one of those tags from the Tailored Tags dies, and all matching. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you want to see more of this, please subscribe and give the video a thumbs up if you liked it. I will have a description links at the I'll have links in the description of the video for all of the items that I used, and you can check on the links if they are still available. Not everything is still available, some of it might be sold out. And so I will just see you in the next video. Bye bye.